What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Real Estate Uncensored. We've got an awesome live episode for you today. Jeff Bonham is here. We are talking about how to scale up without losing your personal production. So that dance of when you're trying to grow your business, your team, maybe you're bringing on some people, maybe you're experimenting with new ways to generate leads, and you can't let your personal production go. You have to build on top of that and try to do both at the same time. It's a delicate dance. We're going to talk about it. Jeff is the former CEO of a top 150 real estate team. He's recruited something like 1,500 real estate agents over the years, trained thousands and thousands of agents. He's done basically everything you can do in real estate. We're going to get into it. Before we bring Jeff officially in, we have Gene, the evil bald ninja, is here. What's up, man? Oh. And I'm not giving him a chance to talk, so relax, Greg. The junior grandmaster in the co-pilot seat, firmly ensconced there where you so belong. Greg McDaniel, what's up today?
Oh, I am doing fantastic. You know, I have the Michael Johnson shirt on. It is going to be a glorious day. We're going to have a lot of fun. Jeff is going to drop hammer like nobody's business. Did I say Michael Johnson? I meant Michael Famous. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry about that. I misspoke. But yeah, no, it's going to be a great time. And Gene, I asked you offline to have my back and wear your Michael Johnson shirt, but you did not do that. Why not?
That's true. Look at me. This is amazing. I am covered in velvet. Why would I wear a t-shirt?
You're wearing a human Snuggie. It's
beautiful.
Oh my Lord. Oh,
a human Snuggie. Well, you can tell it's Friday afternoon on the East Coast. Gene's morphed into it's almost weekend time. He's pulling out the Snuggie, or he's what did you say earlier? Getting off of some party bus?
We can go into the money. That's a money bus.
Oh, money bus. Okay.
Yeah, this is how you roll off the money bus.
And everybody is of age on this bus, right?
1,000%. Some of us are older than of age, like me, for example.
Just making sure.
All right, let's bring Jeff in. Thanks for putting up with our shenanigans, but officially welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.
So,
I think I appreciate it. I'm not sure yet, but I think I appreciate it.
You'll appreciate it. All right. So give us some insight. You've done a bunch of stuff. We can go through the background and stuff kind of as we get into it, because we'll go through some of the cool things you've done in the background. What do you do on a day-to-day basis now? What do you tell people that you do?
Well, right now, what I do is I help agents scale, right? So I specifically help teams and brokerages deal with that piece of the agent attraction so they can get the freedom and flexibility they want back in their life, keep their income at a high level, and start pursuing the things they love with the people they love doing it with.
Good. All right. So we love this conversation. I mean, Greg, you've got to have a equal share in an EXP team, so that's a whole other conversation. But we've been kind of in the agent attraction game, so to speak, for a couple of years now. It's a very interesting game, and I'm interested to see what Jeff you have to say about that. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that we can get into. Tell me a little bit about the top 150 real estate team. Maybe that's a good place to start. Just what was your experience with that, and what did you like and maybe not like about that experience, just leading a real estate team?
Yeah, sure. I mean, again, I think I was caught a little bit as to where I wanted to be and not be. I was still a little bit more in production, and it was good. We had a team of relatively small team for that kind of production. We had a team of about 9, mainly admin heavy, 3 admin, a couple buyers agents, and an ISA. I wish I would have had better resources, better guidance, honestly, along the way, because I made a ton of mistakes, right? I made a ton of bad hires. I think I was so focused on production and GCI early on that I hired a lot of times just out of necessity.
Yeah.
Right. I kind of did the old fog and mirror thing. And like, my God, there's somebody that breathes and has a license. Let's put them in here. And so I didn't really understand the leadership side, developing side, training side, but we failed forward and made it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was just a lot of grit, to be quite frank. And I wish I could go back now knowing what I know now and really put the energy it deserved. And 150 would have been a number in the past, right?
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're coming up on the NFL draft in April, and Greg, that's where NFL teams choose new players to join their team. But Gene knows what I'm talking about, being the Eagles fan that he is. And you're about to see a lot of scrambling and drafting for need, as opposed to kind of hiring for the future on your beloved Eagles team. And it's so, I mean, it goes all the way up. Even billion-dollar companies make that mistake, right? You scramble, you wait, you kind of fill other parts of your team, and then you go, crap, I need this role, and now I need it 3 months ago. And I'm hurting, and so I'm going to hire the first person that comes along. So I definitely think that's something that a lot of agents get into.
Well, that's how you and I became podcast partners.
What's that? I delayed and delayed and delayed, and finally I
was
decided to just bring you on out of necessity. Don't ruin our beloved How We Met story, Greg. Come on, don't screw that up. All right. So on a day-to-day basis, you're helping agents with the with the scaling up and the agent attraction part. We're going to get into kind of that dance between maintaining your personal production while you're starting to scale. Like I can tell you from watching and working with Jeff Cohn over the years of watching him build that team, that is an extremely hard thing to do. And some people will tell you like there's a cutoff, like as soon as you can match the team's income to your personal income, just pull the ripcord. You know, Greg Harrelson would tell you, no, do both and then gradually shift off your personal production. So everybody kind of had like even very, you know, guys that are successful all have their own opinions on it. I think one of the agents or one of the challenges that most agents that are listening to this face is that dance of I'm going to hire the very first person. I'm going to hire that assistant, that first admin position. And that's the first time they run smack dab into this exact position. When did that happen for you?
Oh, that happened very early on. You know, I was fortunate, probably my second year in the business in the late 90s to run into that. And you know, everybody has this kind of personal ceiling of achievement. You hear that thrown around in our business and others, and people are going to hit it at different levels. I hit mine really early on, to be honest with you. I was maybe doing 30, 40 units solo, and I maxed out. I couldn't figure out how to balance that admin piece and continue driving my lead gen, and I was stuck. And I made a huge mistake. I thought what I needed first was a buyer's agent. Nobody told me better, right? And that was just chaos. It created mass chaos. So with the admin piece, that very early on, after I had all my deals implode, basically, by bringing on that other agent driving more units and more chaos and more paperwork and more dissatisfied customers on the back end, that's when I realized I needed somebody to really implement and keep my butt running straight. And understand that I was about systems at that point if I was going to get any better. So I was fortunate, I guess, to burn that flame pretty early and find out I had to do something different.
Yeah, I was going to say that would have been, so late 90s would have been before the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book came out. That was really the first book that even shared what people were doing that was working, what's not. Like everything else, you kind of had to find, like, how did you even find out from other agents what was working? That was before podcasts, before Facebook groups. I mean, really, you had.
How did we survive, man? How did we do anything, right?
Yeah.
And networking in conferences. It was networking in conferences. You know, I was at really one of my first events, big events that I took a little leap of faith and invested in was I went to one of Joe Stump's things way back, right? So 97, 98, loved the guy. And he was the first one that I met that was talking about branding, was talking about team building, was talking about really database management. And these were, to me, I was a kid, I was 23, 24 years old, and it just like blew my mind, right? So when I saw that is when I realized I had to make a shift and quit thinking of this as something that was going to be a job in selling a lot of houses, making a good income, and realizing that I truly had a business opportunity around me. And I thank him for that because that completely changed my trajectory from that point on going forward. It's the way I thought about the business.
Yeah. And Greg, you had a similar experience with, you know, just being around Howard and like that kind of organization, like getting to hang around and see other agents be interviewed and like having that share, like you and your dad were interviewed way back in the day and that CD made the rounds with other agents. And, you know, that's kind of how you got that experience before all the new ways of sharing stuff came along.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I got to sit at the feet of masters. I mean, without a doubt. I mean, I am not as smart as everybody thinks I am. I got to sit and get to learn from Gene. Do not look at me like that when I say that, okay? But I mean, it was a lot of fun. Like Jeff was saying, like we got to sit and learn and listen from a lot of intelligent people. And Matt is smirking at me as we speak, like, I knew it. He's been.
No, it's just I was smirking at you smacking Gene down before Gene could say anything. I just thought it was like Gene's just sitting there, just being himself, and you just basically smacked him upside the head.
No, it's all about learning. And Jeff, I mean, I want to dovetail on what you're saying. I mean, like sitting and learning from folks. I mean, all the smartest people in real estate, they're the people in the front row they have their notepads out, they have their pens out. They're the one taking copious notes, not the ones on the back playing Angry Birds, and talking shit with their co neighbor next to them in the next chair. It's the guy and gal that's sitting there literally learning at every single person's foot and then being humble about it. I mean, is that something that you can concur with?
Absolutely. I was again taught very early on, really out of humility, because as I started growing, I got a little bit of an ego, and because I was in a relatively small market, and I would go out to these markets and realize I was nothing yet. I didn't really know what I didn't know, and a wise man told me, he said, "Jeff, never be the smartest guy in the room."
Yeah.
Right. And when you embrace that and you constantly try to surround yourself with people that are where you want to be, or the next stage of your development, then it's limitless, really. Right. But you've got to accept that and become humble and say, you know what, I don't know it. I want to be a sponge. And it's amazing what I found, Greg, and you've probably seen it in all you guys here on this podcast today. It's amazing how many people are willing to share.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that? I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah. And I think it's unique to real estate. Like, I do work in other markets, and I don't see anywhere near the openness that I see in real estate. There's such a culture of coaching. And I think everyone in real estate kind of understands what it feels like to be on an island, just because of the brokerage culture and stuff like that. That there's much, much more of an embedded culture of being okay with sharing. And then what's funny is that the folks that are at the absolute top, that are doing the most unique things, that they've really taken time to solve a really hard problem in their business, whether it's, how do you, convert online leads, at more, anything more than 1%, right? So the people that have solved really difficult problems like that, they have no problem sharing it, because they know that 99% of the audience is not going to go take what they've done and go do it. They'll share it with people in their own market. They're like, yeah, come into the training. Good luck. Because they know some people will take it and run with it, but most won't. So I think there's something about real estate. I don't know how much time you've spent like in other kind of adjacent industries, but I don't see anything like the culture of sharing that we do in real estate.
Yeah, I don't either. And like you said, it's the implementation piece, right? So we know very few people are going to do it. And I think people that are really confident and comfortable, they'll give it. They'll throw the nuggets out there. They don't mind. And even on the coaching side, I've been a coach as well for about 15 years now. And I don't mind sharing everything and anything out there for free. And if you can take it and run with it, great, more power to you. If you can't, call me, right? We'll have a consultation, but why not put it out there? Because it's really not taken away from me. You've got to have that mindset of abundance, of giving, of putting it out there. And hopefully I'll get some nuggets from you, and boom, we all grow together.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, that's part of why Greg and I started the show. That was always the intention, was we just basically gave all of our best stuff away for free. And we still have people coming in off of podcast episodes that we did in like 2015 and 2016, that they were so packed with content that they were like a webinar. I mean, it was insane. We could have turned around and probably, and maybe should have in retrospect, charged for some of that stuff, but that just wasn't the goal. We came out and basically both barrels firing, came out and gave all the stuff away for free. And you're right. It's the fact that people can learn the information and then most people don't go away and implement. That's why you need coaches. That's why you need brokers and trainers and all that stuff. So I want to shift to that kind of conversation. What do you see going on today? Just, when you look at the brokerage landscape, and everybody wants agents, everybody wants to retain the good ones. Everybody wants more better ones. But what are some mistakes that maybe brokers and team leaders make when they kind of start that shift in thinking maybe the types of agents they attract, or what they need to do to get agents to come in? What are some of the mistakes that people make right off the bat when they first start thinking about recruiting people?
That's a great question. And it's kind of a big, wide open question. I think that a lot of it is really, they don't have massive clarity about who they are to begin with, right? They don't really know they don't know what their own value proposition really is. They've got some leads, right? Or maybe they've got a split they're willing to pay, or maybe this or that. But ultimately, what I've discovered for those people that are highly successful at attracting agents and building a business around them, it goes way beyond that. Right. It goes way beyond that. And they know who they are. They know what their culture is. They know what their value is. They understand people development, or they understand if they're going to go big with a lack of a better term, body shop, they understand they've got to have the support systems for that. Right.
Right.
But if they don't, that's where they get screwed up, and they have a hard time attracting talent. And then they wonder why on earth they're getting sucked back into dealing with questions and answers all the time from the lack of productivity, a lack of guidance. And you see their production start to dive, right? because they're pulled off because they didn't attract the right person to begin with that fit their vision of who they were and where they were going. You've got to define that very early on. Your mission, vision, value. You've got to define that, and you've got to really define a benchmark that against your competition and decide how you're going to articulate that to attract the people you need in your world.
And let's flip that around a little bit. Do you think agents' expectations have changed over the last couple of years and what they expect to get when they join a brokerage or a team?
I think so. Yeah, I do. I think we've empowered the agents to a degree. I would say really in a way, Matt, going back to probably the MREA, you brought it up earlier. When that book came out, it brought a lot of attention to the masses about opportunities, about training, and about this as a business, and also about splits. And I think what's happened over time is we got people that, especially if they're talent, they're looking for better money, they're looking for better opportunity, they're looking for better guidance, and they want that ability to grow and expand. And that's shifted in 10 or 15 years from the guy that came in who was just interested in being a solo agent, making 50 or 100 grand a year, and being happy with that. I'm seeing more of a shift of people coming from corporate America into the real estate business because it is a real huge viable opportunity that offers 7 figures to those that have talent. And they expect to be supported in that journey. If not, they're out of there. They'll go find it or they'll develop it on their own.
That's interesting. Greg, I mean, do you see that happen like when you're talking to agents on the phone? How much of are they shifting to where they're expecting more support and like building an actual, like building their own real estate business as opposed to looking at it as a sales career, which is kind of the old paradigm for it?
Interesting. It's a 50-50 split from what I've experienced. I mean, of course, everybody's got different conversations naturally. Some folks, they say, well, should I join a team? Should I not? And then you and I have just a diabolical, disagreement on that one.
I believe those are called smackdowns. I think we've actually, have we done an actual episode on that of like, should you join a team smackdown? Because we should.
I think we have, but yeah. I mean, I would definitely be down to run you over again. It's okay.
Yeah, unintentionally we've had it. I think not on the board.
Yeah, I know we've talked about it, but anyway. So Greg, you feel like it's 50-50 split. You've got people that still treat it like a traditional sales career. I'm just going to come in, work the leads, just kind of treat it like a career, like a job where they work for somebody else. Well, but then you're saying half of it, treat it more like a business.
No, they just don't know the difference. And so they ask the question, like, should I or should I not? And I say, well, there's 2 different points of views on this. And you just decide what side you want to stand on. And do you want to keep all your money or do you want to give a lot of your money away? Now, if you give a lot of your money away,
just the way you phrase that gives away. Yeah, that's the worst frame you can possibly put. But anyway, I got it.
But it's not. Let me shut the fuck up. Let me finish my thought. God. All right. So the point is, well, he's the one that asked the question. I'm the one answering. So shut up. So the thing is, like, look, I've been on a team my entire life, right? So I give a lot of my money away, and I accept that because I get support. I get, a lot of other things in lieu of that cash, right? I don't have to go out there and do something out of nothing. So, I mean, where do you lie? Do you want to have someone kind of have that support for you, or do you want to build your own business? It really comes down to kind of where you want to go. And I always fight Matt on this. I always say, look, if I had to do it over again, I would go out on my own for the first 6 months. I would try to, wade through the weeds and figure out my way in the world. And if I didn't like it or I couldn't do it, then yes, I would join a team. But I would also look at the team and see what the structure was. What's the culture? What's the returns? What do I get back and everything else? Otherwise, fuck you and have a good day. I'm out. I'm going to go do my own thing. And maybe I'll be a greeter at Walmart on Wednesday, but at least I'm going to be doing my own thing. But Matt is, if you guys can't see him because you're not watching this, he's grinning just like he.
That's I'll put my end of the smackdown on hold, but I get it. So Jeff, just getting back to like what the average agent is thinking. We're always curious about that because like I was just talking to a friend of mine who's thinking about switching brokerages, and we can talk about that topic later. But it is interesting what I was kind of asking him, what kind of conversations he's having, because recruiting is a big piece of whether he moves. Right, his ability, and he's looking at the market going, do I believe that this move will make recruiting easier? And so you always want to kind of have a finger on the pulse of what the average agent coming into the business now or thinking about making a move is thinking. And I think Greg is right. They're looking at this kind of balance of all the stuff that they get And that's why it's so important for the team leader, the broker, to be 100% clear on what they offer, because that's the first thing the agent is using to make a decision on whether they should even have a conversation with that person.
And they have to be, and on top of that, Matt, they have to be articulate about it, right? They have to be able to say, this is really what we do offer, and you're a fit or you're not a fit. And they have to be okay with that. Because honestly, one thing I've struggled with since I've been in this business since 96, something like that, is that I feel like a lot of times people that own a brokerage are again, pulling those bodies in for the sake of the bodies, for the number count, for they're chasing some certain goal. But on the back end of the end, they're leaving a wasteland, right? Of agents. You hear our success rate of 85% or so that are out in a few years. And that's just because of the disservice we've done as leadership. Right. Now, some people probably didn't need to get in here to begin with, and somebody didn't tell them honestly up front. But at the same time, if you're willing to step up, if you're willing to try and make an opportunity and go for it and be learning based like Greg talked about, then there's a position for you somewhere, right? There's a position for you somewhere, but find it. Don't just go join the first place that talks to you. Don't join it because your cousin Sally's over there, right? Really get in tune with what it is there is going to add value back to you. Because again, there's also a difference between cost and value, right? As Greg was talking about here a second ago, splits, you might be giving away your money, but you're expecting a ton of value in return, or you'd be out of there, right? I mean, if you weren't getting the value for that, you'd be gone. So I think agents don't understand that when they're looking at brokerages. They don't know the questions to ask. And brokers a lot of times don't know how to communicate clearly what it is they truly offer. And is it a good fit for that agent or not? Don't grab them just because you can.
And Jeff, how did you know my mom her name was Sally?
Research, a lot of recon, right?
Well, let's get into the that is hilarious. Let's get into the dance, right? So when you start to scale up, let's set the scene a little bit. So when you're talking about scaling up, Jeff, you're talking about maybe a high producing agent. Maybe you have enough of an admin staff to support you, so even 1 or 2 admins, something like that, maybe a transaction coordinator. And maybe you have a couple of buyers agents. So you have kind of a small, I would call that like a community team, right? And that's where you really have like you're leveraged, you're high producing. It's like, great, got that. I'm making the money I want. Like my monthly nut is covered. Like all that's fine. But now I want to start to expand. You're essentially starting to like change the fabric of the team. You're talking about adding more people in, and you've got all this, the questions, the training, all that stuff. So that's kind of, if I'm understanding kind of really where you help people the most, that's one of those scenarios where we're starting from, right?
Yeah, we start with that. I mean, we start all the way back at the beginning, and that is getting massive clarity on what it is you want, right? What do you want your life to look like? And what I love about this industry is I believe you can make it look like whatever you want. There's a lot of ways to succeed in it. Maybe not at the pinnacle level, maybe not at the high 7 or 8 figure level. It gets pretty narrow at that point. But there's a lot of ways to make a high 6-figure income, and we don't want to screw it up, right? I've seen too many people trying to scale up and they don't have that massive clarity, and they zigzag back and forth, and then personal problems happen and all kinds of stuff happens. So step one, we got to get real clear on what you want your life to even look like and why. You got to be able to sink your teeth into that. And then, once you know that, we can go back to, with that, what kind of opportunity do you have to create in order for you to get here? I think, again, a lot of leadership look inward, and they've got to be really careful about that. You've got to get your why, but you've got to then be able to shift that over here and say, based on where I want to go, my world has to be this big, right? It's got to be this big. But am I willing to take this world and make it this big so I can find the leadership around me to give the caliber of people that I need? Right.
Yeah. Vision big enough to get them on board.
It's got to be. And if you're not prepared to step a little bit of ego out of the way and really start pouring into somebody, and again, admitting maybe you're not the smartest guy in the room, especially about that piece of your business. If you're not willing to do that, you're going to struggle. Right. So we deal with a lot of mindset stuff, Matt, up front about that and getting clear, because then we're able to go out and really start the talent hunt. And we help them do that too. So we set the clarity, and once we get real clear on it, their value proposition, their organizational structure, then we're going to go into helping them go out and find the talent and leverage our abilities to put them in great conversations with people that may be a fit today, but even if not, let's build a relationship because they may be a fit 6 months, a year, 18 months, because you've got to be forward thinking permanently now if you want to grow a big business.
So when they first start to take on those new agents, and those new agents need time, they need mental and emotional energy. Like they just need the same things that all new people do in an organization. And that's where you start to see that that's where the real problem comes up, the challenge of maintaining your personal production while you're getting those agents on board, because they're not going to produce right away. I mean, if they're actually new to the business, they may not produce for, I don't know, 2 to 3 months, especially when it comes to commission. So you have to kind of balance all that out. So what are some tips for agents that are in that position? What would you recommend that they think about? Does it come down to structuring their days in a certain way? Is it drawing boundaries? Give us some idea and some insight into that.
Yeah, you bet. Again, a great question. It really is. It's about that. It's about boundaries, and it's about the old-fashioned time blocking, right? Mm-hmm. And understanding that for the first probably 60 or 90 days, it is that little bit of a dance, and you got to be committed to it. If they're brand new, you got to plan on a lot of that. But I'll say on the other hand, even if you're bringing in somebody experienced, the challenge is a little different because you're having to shift initially to the culture dynamics, right?
Right.
The change of somebody that's done it a certain way for a long time, that has certain expectations in the industry, certain processes of their own. So even blending that, either way, 60 to 90 days is that culture. And the way I've kind of always looked at it is you've got to have your training figured out, your onboarding processes figured out. If you need help with that, let us know. We're happy to talk about it. But imagine you're holding this book of nuggets, right? This $1 million book that you're giving them opportunity for. You basically you're holding on to that tight for 30 to 60 days, right? And you're sharing that book. You want to imagine that you're holding on to that tight enough until some point they are so good at what they do, they're able to rip that book out of your hands, right? Until that happens, you're going to have to be in a leadership role guiding them that. And really, like I said, it's about 90 to 100 days to get that going.
Interesting. I've got one more question, but I want to give the other guys time because I've monopolized a little bit. Gene, Greg, what do you got?
Yeah. Greg, you want to go first?
No, you.
I guess that's me. Yeah. So I'm interested in hearing all this stuff. And I think if I could take it back a little bit and kind of cater to the audience, if I have to assume that there's going to be some people watching this that might be new into the business, or, maybe are on their own and know they're on their own and are thinking about maybe joining a team or looking into that. I had a friend call me recently who just got her license and said, I need to be hooked up with a couple brokers and I don't know what I want to do. And from your perspective as, say, a new agent or somebody who might be like sort of thinking about maybe joining some kind of team, is there any advice that you would give that person, a couple bullet points as to what to look for, what's important, in their own minds first? Like, I leave that open to you to kind of paint the picture, but you have any advice?
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think that, again, they've got to know what they really want out of this business, right? They've got to understand why they got into it to begin with. There's a couple of different personality types that tend to be drawn into our industry. And I think that's the entrepreneur, the person that wants to go out, start something, set the vision, be responsible for it, take the risks. And there's the other person that likes the energy of our industry, but they don't really, at the end of the day, want to be responsible for all the vision. So that's more of kind of your entrepreneur. They like to be in something. And so they need to figure out where they're sitting in that point. And then if they're actually going out and interviewing with the teams and visiting with them, again, understand what their structure, get clear with it. Ask them what a typical day looks like. Ask them what their resources are. And if it were me, knowing what I know now, I would ask for the opportunity to shadow them for a while. Make sure that you can hang around, be a fly on the wall, get a feel for what it's really like to be in that office. Because again, a lot of us as top producers, we're salesmen, right? We can probably close a deal and convince you it's the right thing for you to do. But when I'm operating day to day, I'm in the stressors. I may or may not be that warm, fuzzy guy that had that cup of coffee with you at Village Inn, right? It may end up being the guy that you see coming hard at the team. And I'm not that saying who I am, but right there are those opportunities. And all of a sudden you just walked into a shitstorm that you weren't prepared for. And it was nothing that you expected. So I would recommend everybody try to get a chance to shadow if they'll let you do it and see if they really walk the talk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's great advice.
Yeah,
it reminds me of, just the shadowing thing. Even in getting clarity, Jeff, I think it would be helpful if people that were thinking about going down that road of expanding the team, changing the structure, maybe going from a body shop to more of a ninja elite kind of team, like whatever change you're thinking about making. One of the things that I liked about a couple of my friends in the business is they would go out and whatever they were thinking about doing, they would find somebody else who was already doing it and go make a point of reaching out to them and saying like, hey, can I drop by your office and just hang around and spend the day with you? And a lot of times the answer was yes. Surprisingly often, especially for them, like going and hanging out and like top team leaders around the country. One friend I know did that for 30 teams, flew around the country for a year and visited 30 teams in their office and shadowed them. And that's how he kind of really narrowed down what kind of team that he wanted to build and kind of make the strategic decisions and got that clarity that you mentioned. Like he didn't know, he didn't know
That's
what kind of team he wanted.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, he knew he wanted to be, he was just that type that was the entrepreneur type, but he didn't know, he didn't have the clarity on what that was going to look like. And I think that's one thing, like I didn't do that going into real estate. I should have. I should have taken a whole bunch of agents out to lunch and seen what kind of who's running the kind of business that I wanted to run, and what does it feel like on a day-to-day basis to be in that business, because it would have changed how I got in and what type of business I started out doing. So I think if we did that more, I think the clarity piece would probably come a lot easier, even if it wasn't flying out to visit all the teams in person. If you were having conversations or you're listening to podcasts and you're listening to somebody like Greg Harrelson or whatever talk about what their day-to-day is, and Jeff, what your day-to-day is, listen to those people and put yourself on their shoes and really ask yourself, is that the kind of daily life that I want? Because it does shift. Like you talked about, the entrepreneur versus the entrepreneur. There's also that massive shift of going from your primary job being a salesperson that works with buyers and sellers to all of a sudden recruiting and leading agents. And now your job isn't sales anymore, it's leadership. And that screws up a lot of agents. A lot of agents fall flat on their face right at that transition. And I don't know that they really understood that was shifting.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant insight on that, because you're exactly right. That's a difficult transition for a lot of us, and really what the focus starts to have to be is, you've been focused so long on generating leads for listings, then it has to shift to generating leads for talent. Yeah. A lot of similar things, but the nuances there can be really hairy. And not everybody needs to scale this to 7 and 8 figures. This isn't, designed for everybody. I know it's kind of what we're talking about, scaling, but I think a lot of people will find along the way, they might just be happier running with 1 or 2 admin assistants, maybe a buyer's agent pulling down 250 to 300 net, and living a more balanced life and never getting into the weeds of leadership. But the good thing is leadership, I 100% believe, can be taught. There are some people that come out natural with it, but it can be taught. Processes, systems, interview questions, accountability pieces. We can help give that to you, and lead you down that path if that's what you want.
I think people way underestimate just the importance of the structural part of leadership. That it's not about, like, some people are really, really good at leading by transferring emotion and enthusiasm, and that's awesome. And then other people that aren't good at that are envious and think, well, I can't lead like that. It's like, yeah, you're right. You can't lead like that. But all the other structural stuff, consistent meetings, like you talked about, the interview questions, just knowing what to ask people, one-on-one meetings and stuff like that, like all that structural stuff you can put in place. And a huge part of leadership is just that, having the right structure.
I would venture to say, Matt, that a lot of people that learn the structure piece, they're going to go a lot farther, honestly, anyway, than those that come by it naturally. It's talent is overrated. I don't know if you guys have read that book or not, but it's so true in the fact that sometimes if we're good at something, we automatically get to that comfort level and we never really push through because we just do it, right? And it seems to work out. But the people that struggle and learn the systems and put them in place, they'll fly right by us. If we're not paying attention, they'll go, they're at the whole next level before we even know what happened.
Yeah. So I want to get back to the time blocking a little bit, because Greg, you're in this position where now, granted, you've tried to get out of personal production. It keeps sucking you back in with $1 million listings, which I know is a terrible pain in the ass for you to have. But I sympathize. Believe me. Like, I have to go on another $1 million listing. Such a pain in the ass to get dressed up in my cargo shorts and flip flops.
Hey, I just got new cargo shorts yesterday. Thank you very much.
New cargo shorts. Okay, well that's a game changer. Okay, new cargo shorts. Maybe you'll get new Vans to go along with those cargo shorts.
No, I need new thumbnail polish. That's what I need.
Oh, okay. So you're in the situation where you've got your personal production, it's rolling along, right? And I don't know if that takes you, half a day, 6 hours a day, whatever it is, but you've also got, you've set the task for yourself of recruiting agents, having those conversations, bringing them into the XP team. You've been coaching agents as long as I've known you, for free, even when there wasn't anything for you, like in it for you. But you're in that spot where you have to kind of straddle those two, right? You don't want your personal production, your personal income to take a massive hit just because you're helping bring agents in and trying to help train and lead them and stuff. So I want to dig into the time blocking. So Greg, first with you, how are you time blocking right now? Because I know you've mentioned that you've kind of freed up your calendar more than it used to be. And I don't know if you feel like has that helped you recruit better? Do you feel like you recruited better when your schedule was more, like you had all of your hours scripted throughout the whole day, like it was a couple of years ago? What's your feeling on that?
Matt, I appreciate that. Yeah, no, my time is really freed up a ton, and I know this is gonna sound weird, but I work a lot from my bed because one, it's freaking comfortable as all hell. I paid a lot of money for that damn bed. And you know what? I feel it since I'm more comfortable, then the conversations are more comfortable. Now, can I sit here in this uncomfortable chair on my desk? Yeah, of course I could. But you know what? With EXP, I mean, I sit here and I can walk 20 feet and go into my bedroom. But I've decided to do one thing on my scheduling, and that's I've decided to do one productive thing a day. Now, Jeff is going to look at me and be like, "You a dumb motherfucker," and that's okay. That's okay. We still love you. And you guys can see him right now.
Man,
He's like, "Why am I on the podcast with this guy? What the shit?" But what I'm doing is I do one productive thing a day, and then I allow the rest of my time to be my time. And the funniest thing about this, like Matt, like what you said before, all of a sudden my time is becoming exponentially more valuable because people are hitting me up upside down, left and right, because I'm not booking myself so regimentedly. Again, there's different thought patterns on this. I completely agree. I've played both sides of this coin. Mm-hmm. For me, what I have found is that this has been the most productive for myself. So this is the point. Go find what works best for you. Is it like following my lead of doing one positive, productive thing a day? And Gene, don't give me that grimace.
I'm not.
Or you got a chia seed in your teeth. I'm not sure which one that was.
That took a turn.
Quick too.
or you can follow Jeff and be incredibly productive and really chasing the dream. What is more important to you, time or money? Right. And you can blend those two, but find what works best for you. Dude, I've made a butt ton of cash. I'll be real fucking honest with you, but I'll also be honest with you as something else. I want to go out. I want to go for walks at 11:30 in the morning or 2 o'clock in the afternoon and not give a flying fuck about whatever anybody else is going to say or anything else, because I've already done what I'm going to do. Like Matt wants to take a nap right after this podcast, and that's okay. I mean, it's only 10:30 in the morning.
That's actually true.
Can I piggyback on what you're saying there, Greg? Because I want to be fair and honest with that too. Is again, it's about you've gotten really clear on what it is you want at this point in your life, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, and so you've structured everything around that. And I think that's where, again, to each his own, they've got to figure it out. I'm very similar, in all reality. I know my sweet spot's 10 to 2. Outside of that, I'm horrible, right? In the morning, I haven't had enough coffee. In the afternoon, my brain's done. I'm not really a high social person. I'm a driver. And so by 2 o'clock, I'm tired of talking to people, man. So
oh my God, you're like Matt?
It could be, right?
Yeah, so, I'm like 8 to 1. Yeah.
Okay, man, that's early for me. I can't do that, right? So it's 10 to 2. Boom, I'm in, I'm out. I'm probably like Gene eating something in the background the whole time, right? And then it's on to life, right? The money. What good's the money if you aren't having fun with it?
Agreed.
It is truly about having fun in life, and I thought it was all about chasing the dollar bills, right? And yeah, is the cash good? Heck yeah, it is. But you know what? When I get to go out and I get to go for a walk or do whatever I want to do, go out to the store, go wander around Target at 2 o'clock in the afternoon like a freaking homeless man. You know what? Everyone looks at me like I'm a bum, and I'm like, yeah, bitch, I make fucking a lot of cash, and I can do this because I have people working for me. So fuck off.
So let me ask you this. Again, we're talking about a lot of top performer stuff here, but let me ask you real quick, because we both gone to a lot of conferences, right? Mm-hmm. Well, early in my career, I found, looking back, that I spent probably those first 5, maybe even 10 years, what I call chasing ghosts, right? Like I would go to these conferences, I'd see the guy up on the panel, I'd see the guy doing a bazillion units a year, and I'm like, dude, if this hack is doing it, I should be doing 2,000 units, right? And I would always chase this ghost. And then when a land grab was going on the franchises, I was grabbing up franchises. And then all these things I was chasing, but it had nothing to do with me, right? And I think at the end of the day, I was more miserable by chasing those ghosts because I was comparing myself to them. Did you ever feel that way in your career?
100%. And there, we have a friend of the show. His name is Jeff Latham, out of the Pacific Northwest. He grew a team. He was doing like 400 or 500 units a year, and then he's like, "This is just too stinking stressful." And so he fired his entire team. He himself did 40 or 50 deals a year. He made more money doing that, and he was free. He bought himself a fucking yacht. Okay. And then cruised around in his yacht, sold the yacht. Now he's going to buy himself a helicopter. And guess what? He's happy as all get out. And so it's about taking stock on what really means the most to you. It doesn't mean, I mean, Jeff, you and I and Matt and Gene, we could all get together and be a team, and we could do 2 billion units a year. But if we spend, $1.5 billion, to buy or sell 2 billion, what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why not slow
the split 500 million? Oh, I guess that can't be expected to live on a fifth of $500 million. Come on now.
I'm not gonna name names here, right? I'm not gonna name them here, but I coached an agent, man, probably 15 years ago, and she's doing 165 to 175 units a year consistently. Her net income was 67 grand.
What?
Whoa.
Why? What's the point?
What's the point?
Holy cow.
Go out and sell, 10, 15 houses, call it a day. Right. It was horrible, miserable. I mean, a horrible person to be around. It was just, it took a lot of love and hate there for a while to kind of have them take ownership of that fact, because they were chasing awards, right? They were chasing the plaques that their company was giving out, and they just wanted volume. They didn't even know GCI. They didn't even know income. They were just chasing volume. Man.
Something that makes me laugh about that is my brother turned 40 yesterday, right? And so I was I didn't have time to call him yesterday, and I felt horrible. Yes, bad brother. I know. Don't criticize me. But I called him this morning. He and I were laughing about it, and we're talking about different agents and different production status for his company called Likely.ai. And I'm like, dude, when is it? What's worth what? I mean, I got a lot of gray hair, and I've grown it over a lot of the last couple of years, because he and I are talking about, since I'm 42 at this recording, he's 40. And I said, I didn't have a lot of white hair at 40. I really didn't. Then I started working with Matt more, and my hair started just going white as all hell. I mean, the stress.
Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah, I'm the stressful one. That's right. Exactly. Picked up Matt in your life, and immediately your hair turned white.
No, the point is like, what makes the most sense for you and your family? Do you want to be a young baller and hustle and go make that dollar? Fuck yeah, dude, rock out. Go be your bad self. If you want to slow down a little bit, and Gene has 2 beautiful daughters, spend time with them and watch them grow up. Jeff, I don't know if you have kiddos or not, but I'm sure that. Okay, so you want to spend time with your kiddos. I mean, Matt has got 3 kids, and we're still trying to get him on dialysis, but it just doesn't work. I mean, those poor kids. I mean, we got to get them more well paid so we can get these kids, into the right treatment. But I mean, Matt's spending time with them while they're here. Gene is just dying.
I would say I'm going to send him to fat camp, but I can't say that anymore. But this is where I think, Jeff, what you do is really, really interesting and necessary, is because I think there's a lot of folks that are stuck on that hamster wheel in the real estate business, and they're doing a lot of deals, and that means different things for different people, but they're doing a lot of deals. They're doing enough deals that they're stressed, but they're also not very profitable either. And they're not quite sure like how to break out of that rut. And anything they feel like they're going to try immediately is going to impact their personal production, right? So, and it goes back to what we're talking about on the show. But if you're in someone like Greg's position, where you've been in the business for a while, you've been in the business late 90s, early 2000s, whatever. You've taken your lumps, you've been in the business, you know what you're doing. And you're staring down the barrel of am I going to do exactly the same thing for the next 10 or 15 years and then just try to save up a chunk and retire? And I think real estate is such an interesting business because you don't have to go that way. You don't have to just be a salesperson that stockpiles money and then shut off the spigot and walk off into the sunset and try to retire, right? I think there's so much of an opportunity that if you get the right people around you and you get, like you talked about, the structural leadership things, if you get that kind of stuff in place, you can slowly withdraw from the personal production, not take any hit at all in your personal income, actually maybe be more profitable if you structure it right. And you can set yourself up with a business that really, as you get older and as you want to start enjoying life more, you can just lead the business, as opposed to being like the primary salesperson. And I think that's very appealing to a lot of people.
Yeah, and that's where we found our sweet spot here in our niche. We used to coach a wide range, And what I found my passion was being able to find a way to give people that freedom and flexibility back, kind of as I led into in the beginning, is if you've earned the right and you've paid your dues, you've done the grind, you've got some good lead gen pillars in your business, but you're kind of maxed out and not sure which way to go. Sometimes I'll tell you, man, you just need to implode. You need to go back. You need to do those 40 or 50 units and get on your boat, right? In other cases, it's like, hey, let's make this little shift. Let's take on some leadership skills. Let's hunt for talent as hard as we've been hunting for the next $1 million listing. And give me 18 months and your world will be different.
Yeah.
Right. So, but it depends on where they're at and what they want. And they've got to have clarity. And I'm happy to talk with anybody to help them have that conversation, to ask those questions and see if it is the right fit or not for them. Because for a lot of people, it's not. They're not cut out to make that, that step, that take that journey, Matt. But
yeah, agreed.
For those that are, we need to do it.
Yeah, love it. Let's start finishing up. So how do people get in contact with you and learn about what you do and connect?
Yeah, you bet. Best thing, hit the website, linkedprorecruiter.com. Go there. If you want to talk, there's a section on there. Just set up a strategy session. We'll chat. We'll take 15, 30 minutes, get to know each other, learn about you and your business, and we'll see if we're a good fit.
Cool. Love it. All right, Gene, you've been disturbingly quiet in your Hugh Hefner bathrobe. What's new in your world before we shut it down and give us a call to action? What's on your mind? Very quiet.
Yeah, no, I sometimes I listen when we have good guests that are dropping a lot of stuff. It was a good conversation. There was no room for me there, and I'm okay with that every once in a while. Yeah, listen, I'm okay with it every once in a while. I think when somebody's rolling and they got good advice on it, who the hell needs to hear from me? I'm all right with it. And I do. And listen, just for the record, Greg, you didn't have any gray hair. I actually had hair when I started working with Matt 2 years ago. So I don't know what to say to you.
Well, then there's that. Okay.
Something to look forward to there, Greg.
That's right.
Baldness is my future. Okay. I have white beard hair and a bald head.
Oh my
God.
God.
Actually, that could be a good look.
It is a good look. Check it out. See?
Hold on. Zooming in.
Yeah, let's take a look. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Stupid.
So stupid.
All right. Well, I will give your call to action then. So Gene is the master of helping people get more exposure on social media. So if you're an agent and you want to create a couple simple forms of content and then have that broken up and distributed in all the places where you want to be active so you can be visible to your potential clients, to your database, to the people in your community, reach out to the one and only Gene Volpe, genevolpe.com. How's that, Gene?
That was amazing. I got it. I'm glad this is recorded. I'm going to go use that in my Facebook ads.
Okay, good. All right.
Thank you.
Greg, what's the best way to connect with you?
Oh man, just hugs. I just love hugs. I love to snuggle. I mean,
you totally are that person that would want somebody to come up to on the street and hug you. As an introvert, I would flee.
Oh my God. My girlfriend would run for the hills. At first, she would throat punch them because she's Krav Maga trained. She'd be like, "Pah!" And then she'd kick him in the nuts and run away. And I'd be like, no snuggles? No snuggles? Okay, snuggles are out. Thanks, Jackie. Damn it. I think my entire complex.
Connect. How do people connect with you? Not hugs. How do people call you?
Matt, this is what we call human-to-human contact. It's called snuggles. Okay, you're a little black piece of heart, coal called a heart. Doesn't understand that, but it's okay. Guys, in all seriousness, you guys got to see Jeff and Gene. They are grinning from ear to ear. Guys, call me at 925-915-1978. Again, 915-1978. Go DM me on Instagram or Facebook, Greg McDaniel, REU, or just Greg McDaniel here on Facebook. Let's have a conversation. Love to see what I can do to bring value to you. But I really want you guys to reach out to Jeff, Gene, and Matt. And I want you to ask Matt to come over on Saturday mornings at 7 a.m. and wash his car with rocks because he loves that rough look on his car. It's incredible. It's great. That's how they can reach out to me. So there it is, Matt. Back to you, buddy.
Great. Okay. Well, let's pick a color for the bow that we shall tie around this episode.
No. Johnson.
What's that?
Your pamphlet.
Oh, the book. Yes. If you would like to become micro-famous, famously influential to the right people. So we're talking about if you're in coaching consulting and you want to build and dominate a niche audience of 10,000 people and run a 6 or 7 figure coaching consulting business, that's what this book is about. So go to getmicrofamous.com and get a free digital copy, or go to Amazon and get the print copy if you're a physical person like me.
All right. Guys, also we're gonna support his 3 obese, insulin sucking little child babies. We need to get them into the F camp, and we don't say FA camp, but we're gonna help them get there. So every donation to the book will help these little critters not stop putting holes through floors. So thank you for that.
Do tell more about the F camp.
Yeah, exactly.
That didn't have anything to do with the money bus, does it?
It may soon.
Okay.
I think the money bus takes you to the F camp. Yeah, so that's how that works.
Why do you think I'm wearing the robe?
Oh my God.
And by the way, guys, I just got a nose pinch out of Matt, which I haven't gotten in weeks. So that is awesome. Matt.
Sunny yellow. That is the color for today. Sunny yellow is the color of the bow. Let's wrap it around the package. Call this podcast done. Let's do it.
All right, guys, thank you so much for watching and listening. Jeff, you are a legend, man. I loved sitting here and learning from you. And thanks to you, a lot of people got a lot smarter today. So appreciate your time. Guys, when any place you guys listen or watch podcasts, please make sure you give us a 5-star, not a 2-star review, so that the algorithm will kick it back up to more people. Tag Gene, tag Jeff, tag Matt, tag me. If you like me or Matt, or if Matt even going to respond to you if you even reach out to him, but that's the story for another day. But we love you to pieces. We can't do the show without you. Thank you so much. This is Sunny Yellow Bow? Yeah, Sunny Yellow Bow on the show. Until next time, peace out, ninjas. We gone.